Hello and welcome. This is not just a teaching track, it's a lived one. And my name is John, and welcome to Johnergy Healing. I'm currently walking through my second Saturn return in Aries, and what you're about to hear isn't predictive astrology, it's energy, embodiment, soul truth, and a calling home. Whether you're in your Saturn return, about to enter it, or feeling the burn of your own evolution, this track is for you. Let's start at what Saturn represents. Saturn is structure, form, boundaries, discipline, and karma. It rules time, responsibility, and the pressure we feel to become something real. Without Saturn, nothing gets built. No soul gets sculpted. But Saturn doesn't hand us success. It gives us a syllabus of lessons. And Saturn is about life purpose and life lessons. It's where we manifest. It's how we structure our lives and the intentions that root them. It corresponds to the crown and soul star chakras, linking us to responsibility, maturity, and spiritual growth. Saturn also carries a shadow. Inadequacy, self-doubt, perfectionism, comparison, and pressure. It asks, why are you doing this? What are you building? And who are you trying to prove it to? When misunderstood, Saturn can trap us in guilt, shame, codependency, or conformity. When embraced consciously, Saturn becomes one of the most powerful co-creative forces in our soul evolution. Saturn takes about 29 and a half years to make one full journey through the zodiac. That means every one of us experiences a Saturn return around the ages of 28 to 30, it's your first return, becoming the adult. Between 56 and 60 is the second return, becoming the elder. And around 84 to 88 is the third return, becoming the ancestor. Each return marks a threshold, a portal where life asks, what have you built? And is it built on truth? Saturn spends about 2.5 years in each sign, and during that time it teaches through tension, clarity, and construction. This isn't always a loud, obvious shift. Sometimes Saturn moves like gravity, slow, steady, undeniable. And sometimes it moves like collapse, tearing down the old so something real can rise. The return isn't a single moment. It begins when Saturn comes within orb, often months before the exact degree, and it lasts until the lesson lands in the body, the bones, the breath. For those of us in our second Saturn return, this is not just about outer achievement. It's about inner architecture. It's about becoming the version of ourselves that no longer builds from wounding, but from wisdom. And then there's the natal Saturn complex. What is a Saturn complex? It's the energetic and psychological pattern formed by your Saturn sign, its house placement, any aspect to other planets, and early life conditioning around authority, self-worth, and discipline. Think of it as your soul's original contract with Saturn. It holds your deepest fear, your core survival mechanism, and the blueprint of what you must build from within. Your Saturn return activates the entire complex. It says, here's your karmic syllabus, let's see how far you've come. Are you still outsourcing your safety? Are you building your life from fear or from truth? If you've never worked with the complex, the return can feel like collapse. If you've worked consciously, the return becomes consecration, a sacred architecture phase. For example, in my chart, Saturn in Aries is in the 4th house. This reflects themes of foundational instability, self-reliance, and performing strength as safety. That I feel so deeply right now in my return showing up when it did. The return now is not just asking me to grow, it's asking me to rewrite the energetic contract I made as a child. And these are the signs you're working the complex. Seeing the wound as instruction, building from alignment, not fear, letting the body lead instead of bypassing it, and shaping your healing legacy instead of being shaped by survival. And now Saturn and self-worth. Saturn in Aries, especially in the fourth house, invites a deep reckoning with self-worth. Not surface-level confidence, but core rooting. And what I've been reflecting on lately is the tension between authentic expression and the need for validation. Saturn is asking, are you sourcing your voice from within? Are you performing to be seen or expressing what's real? It's not about silence or retreat. It's about alignment. Saturn is the one who whispers, let's check the foundation. Are you still waiting for applause? And if the answer is yes, that's not failure. It's the next place Saturn wants to build. The goal isn't to abandon your fire, it's to anchor it, to let truth lead. The soul and the system. Why are we here, in these bodies, with these wounds, under these stars? I believe we come to this earth not just to survive, but to remember. To remember that we are spirit, source, soul, that we are not separate from divinity. We've just been conditioned to forget. In early childhood, by ages 6 or 7, we absorb our core beliefs from our parents or caregivers, systems, and culture. These beliefs shape our subconscious, what we believe we deserve and who we believe we are. And the planets, they're not here to control us, they're energetic mirrors, teachers, reminders. Each planet represents an aspect of soul evolution, each sign a frequency of consciousness. When Saturn shows up, it asks, are you ready to grow up spiritually? Will you reclaim the parts of you that were structured in fear? And the planetary archetypes like Saturn don't define us, but they highlight the path home. We are often encouraged to explore our rising sign as well. It shows the path you're learning to walk and embody. For me, Sagittarius rising has been a lifelong call to forge a new path and light the way for others. And now Saturn says, stand in your rising. Light the path you were born to walk, then invite others in. The Chiron return, the wound that prepared the way. There's a powerful cycle that comes before the second Saturn return. It's called the Chiron return, and it happens between ages 49 and 51. Chiron isn't about structure or discipline. It's about the wound. The deepest soul wound we came here to feel, to meet, and if we're ready, to transmute. For me, Chiron is in Pisces, the wound of disconnection, the ache of being unseen, the fear of separation from source, from others, from my own essence. And that return cracked something open. I found myself questioning everything, the stories I'd been living inside, the career I built on survival, the relationships that had mirrored my unhealed parts. And I could have bypassed it. I've done that before. But this time I didn't. I stayed. I felt it. I let it all fall apart. And that was the real beginning of this Saturn return. Because if Chiron is the wound, Saturn is the rebuild. And Saturn can't build on a foundation that hasn't been cleared. So here's the thing I've come to understand. If the Chiron return is skipped, numbed, or bypassed, then the second Saturn return won't have solid ground to work with. That's when it can feel like collapse instead of consecration, like a crisis instead of a calling. But if the wound is faced, if the grief is held, then Saturn doesn't come to punish. Saturn comes to bless. And that's what's happening now. The return isn't random. It's rooted in everything that's come before. I had to let it all fall apart so I could build something that's true. So now Saturn asks, what will you root in now that you've released false ground? What will you create now that you've reclaimed your soul? I'm not starting over. I'm starting from truth. When the return arrived. This return didn't show up all at once. It started as a whisper. On the Scorpio full moon, I held 2 group healing sessions. My personal practice that day was light, but when I held space for others, something seemed shifted. The energy felt heavier and faster. And then the retention counter dropped. 120 attendees down to 37. And I heard a voice. You're not retaining people. Beneath that, you're not enough. It wasn't just a thought. It was a wound. Saturn's shadow whisper. But this time I didn't override it. I stayed. A few days later, as I was readying for sleep, I prayed as I often do. God, please show me what I'm not seeing. Please show me what it is I need to see. And in the middle of the night, I awoke with a pain in my left knee, not something I normally experience. And that knee became the messenger, subtle, quiet, undeniable. The left side of the body often represents the past, the feminine, the lineage, and Saturn rules the knees, not just anatomically, but symbolically. The knees are what carry our weight physically and energetically. They bear the burdens we've held, the expectations we've bowed to. They are where we collapse when we can't hold it all anymore. And sometimes when we finally hear the truth, we fall, not in weakness, but in surrender. And that morning, as the vibration moved through me, the message landed like a bell through bone. I don't have to carry this anymore. Not the pressure, not the perfection, and not the old scaffolding of worth. And then something shifted. A vibration throughout my whole body. A soft hum. A resonance I'd never felt before and still feel. It was like my soul said yes. As soon as I remembered and named it, this is my Saturn return. My system aligned. That's the power of Saturn. It reveals what's real. And when you claim what's real, the universe responds. Saturn in Aries, the collective and personal. So Saturn in Aries is not subtle. It initiates. It burns away the masks. It demands presence. It will push you to reclaim your fire, demand identity over conformity. And for the collective, leadership will be redefined. Youth will rise. Systems will collapse or transform. And this is not the end. It's the return to the root, the rebirth of fire. What are you building that's true? What fire are you finally ready to trust? This return isn't random. It's sacred. It arrives when we are finally ready to root into what we were never taught. Inner safety, soul truth, ancestral closure. Saturn is medicine. Saturn is a builder. It will work you, but when aligned with truth, it becomes sacred. So let Saturn show you what to release, what to rebuild, where your voice belongs. Let discomfort be the signal, and let fire be the path. Create sacred rhythm, daily grounding, Saturn Return journaling, a fire altar with symbols of truth, root, and ancestry. You're not breaking down, you're restructuring. So let this be a ritual, not just a return. And here's how to work with this energy. Again, build a Saturn altar. Include earth, fire, symbols of truth. Create a weekly Saturn check-in. What am I building? What's no longer mine to carry? And speak the truth that scares you, gently, honestly, with your whole heart. And let your body guide you. Your soul already knows. This isn't just an astrological event. This is sacred architecture, a dismantling and rebuilding of the house you live in, your body, your truth, your life. So if the fire feels too hot or the weight feels like too much, pause. Let your knees speak. Let your soul breathe. And let Saturn do what it came here to do. Not punish, but purify. Not burden, but bless. You are not being broken. You are being built. And now we close with breath, with reverence, with this prayer. I no longer measure my worth by what I retain. I no longer filter my voice to fit in. I am not here to perform. I am here to remember. Saturn, structure me in truth. Fire, speak through me. Ancestors, stand behind me. I am the home. I am the root. I am the return. Thank you for walking this with me. Namaste.